So hello guys, welcome to the fifth lecture. So with this much of information on this particular topic, I am directly taking this forward to the concept of the human circulatory system. Okay, so whatever is left in between, like the lymph circulation as well as the clotting mechanisms, we will be dealing that at the end as miscellaneous topics. So if I just start talking about the circulatory pathways which are there inside the human, or the organisms on earth, it can be of two types. It can be either an open circulation or it can be a closed circulation, right? So the very basic idea of calling a particular circulation type as closed circulation is that the blood is flowing inside the blood vessels. So in closed circulation, the blood is closed inside the blood vessels. Okay, so this is what is making a type of circulation to be a closed circulation, while in open circulation you will not find blood vessels. Instead, you will see blood inside the body of the organism in spaces. So there are certain spaces inside the body of these particular organisms, and these spaces are called by the name of sinuses. So you have this kind of a sinuses. So these are blood filled spaces. So these are the blood filled spaces. Okay, so these are blood filled spaces inside the body of the organism where the blood will be present, and this diffusion of substances between the blood and the tissue will occur into these kind of blood filled spaces. While in case of closed organisms, closed circulation, in these kind of organisms you have blood vessels which will carry the blood from the heart to all the different kind of areas in the body, where individually there will be circulation and there will be diffusion of substances and the waste materials between the organ or the tissue and the blood vessel. So this is the difference between an open circulation and a closed circulation. Now if I just talk about the organisms which are following open circulation, so open circulation is followed by the following organisms like arthropoda, mollusca, right? And the closed circulation is followed by, or in these kind of organisms, in which all organisms will you see closed circulation, you will see that in annelids, phylum Annelida and chordata. So humans are coming under this particular chordates. So we have closed circulation and we have these blood vessels, right? Now a very important advantage of this closed circulation, the advantage is that the blood flow can be regulated. So this regulation is possible with respect to the blood flow. You know that heart, if you require more amount of blood, if you require more amount of oxygen, like say you are exercising, the heart can pump more, so the heart rate can increase, so more amount of blood can pass to the required area, isn't it? So if a particular area in your body requires more blood, then that particular arteries that supply that particular area can dilate. So if the arterial size increases, if the artery dilates, becomes bigger, more amount of blood can go over there. So in this particular way, depending on the need of each and every individual organs and tissues of your body, the blood flow to those particular areas can be regulated, and this is the advantage of closed circulation. So the advantage of closed circulation is that the blood flow to each and every individual parts can be regulated. This is a very important aspect that you are supposed to remember. So this is where I am restricting myself with, and now let us go to the human circulation per se. So let us start with the human circulation, human circulatory system. So this is what we will be discussing in detail now, and it's a very serious kind of a topic in this particular chapter. Right, so I would like to call this human circulatory system by another name, and that is blood vascular system. Okay, so just by this particular name, I can understand that there is something called by the name of blood, which is the fluid which will perform the function of circulation, and then there is a vascular component also, the blood vessel component also, and we consider this heart as a modification of a blood vessel. So heart is that particular blood vessel which can contract and relax simultaneously. It can contract and relax again and again. So this can be done by the heart. So the components here of the human circulatory system are very easy to remember. Just by this particular name, I know that there is blood in the circulatory system. Another one will be the vascular component, and that contains the blood vessels, right? And I have the heart, the muscular heart, right? So this is the basic idea of human circulatory system, the components of human circulatory system. This is what you have to remember. Now, if I start with the heart, the human heart. Right? So the origin of human heart is mesodermal. In a developing embryo, you might have seen three different types of layer. Okay? So there is an ectoderm, then you have an endoderm, and in between this ectoderm and endoderm, you have a mesoderm. So ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. So there are three different layers which are there inside an embryo. Okay, so this is the trilaminar germ disc, and very serious kind of discussions are required for understanding this kind of ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. But at your level, just understand that mesoderm is the origin, or the origin of the heart is the mesoderm. That middle layer of the embryo will give rise to many organs in the body, and one of them is heart. So the heart is mesodermal in origin. This is a very important concept or understanding. The rest important ideas of embryo can be dealt in the chapter of human reproduction in class 12th. So this is a very important feature that you are supposed to have. It is myogenic in nature. That means the impulse inside the heart for it to contract and relax is coming from the heart itself. It is not from some other areas itself. You have the SA node inside the heart. It will send impulses, and that will lead to the contraction and relaxation. The rhythmic contraction and relaxation which will occur, one after the other, is the feature of human heart. It will keep on beating on its own, and this is why we call it by the name of myogenic heart. Myo means muscle, isn't it? So this is the point. Location of the heart. Location of the heart is inside the thoracic cavity, and you know what the thoracic cavity is, isn't it? Whatever lies below the neck is the thoracic cavity. This is my thoracic cavity, and I have two lungs here, right lung, left lung. So in between the two lungs lies my heart. So in between the two lungs is where my heart is situated. Now the point is, this space in between the two lungs is called by the name of mediastinum. So mediastinum is the space where the heart is located, and that is the space between the two lungs, and it is here that the heart is located, and many other structures, very important structures, are located over there. So one of the most important component or the content of mediastinum is the heart. So that is a very important point that you are supposed to remember. Now the heart is in the size of a clenched fist. We are aware of that, isn't it? Now what else do you need to know? This heart is tilted to the left. So the heart, especially the lower area, has a left tilt. That is why we can feel the heartbeat over the left side of the chest. So here I can feel my apex beat. So this is the left tilt of the heart, which makes it possible for me to listen to, or I can feel my heartbeat over the left side of my chest. So this is an important point that all are aware, isn't it? And it is the size of the clenched fist. We are aware of that. Now the protection of the heart is by a covering, a fibrous covering, a connective tissue covering, like a structure. Like what is covering it is called by the name of pericardium. So peri means just outside, and cardium means it is something related to the heart. So something which is outside the heart is called by the name of pericardium. Outside, just external to, just outside, or just lateral to. So this is pericardium. So what we have is a covering, and this covering is called by the name of pericardium, and it has two layers. Okay, so the pericardium has two layers, and in between these two layers you have a fluid, and this very tiny amount of fluid will be there, which will be circulating there, and that is called by the name of pericardial fluid. So this is a fluid which is present in between the two layers of pericardium, and this is called by the name of pericardial fluid. Shock absorption is the function of, and protection is the function of pericardium. So these are the points that we are supposed to know at a very preliminary level. Now let us take forward this to the explanation of an NCERT image, and this is a very important kind of an understanding that you are supposed to have. See, we are supposed to know the chambers of the heart first of all. So heart has 4 chambers, 2 atria and the 2 ventricles. Right, so this is my right atrium, this is my left atrium. So whatever lies up is the atrium, and one atrium is present on each side. So this is my right atrium, this is my left atrium, then this is my right ventricle, and this is my left ventricle. So this is my right ventricle, this is my left ventricle, right atrium and left atrium. What else are we supposed to know? So I can write it outside as well, so that is better. This is my left atrium, this is my right atrium. Okay, these are the first things that we are supposed to know. Now the point is that the ventricular size of the muscle, just see the covering or the wall of the atrium. Wall of the atrium is very much thin, isn't it? The walls of the atrium are very much thin compared to the ventricle. So I can see that the ventricular walls are the thicker compared to atrium, and the thickest wall is with the left ventricle. So the left ventricle has the thickest wall. This is an important question that you are supposed to remember. Why does it have a very thick wall? The thickest wall is there with left ventricle, the thickest one. It is because of the fact that it has to pump so hard that the blood has to reach everywhere inside the body, right from the tip of your head to the tip of your toes, isn't it? So it has to pump blood with so much of effort so that the blood has to go through the aorta and finally reach every part of the body. So this is the reason by which nature has made the walls of the left ventricle to be the thickest. Okay, so this is my right ventricle and this is my left ventricle. Now comes the points that we are supposed to know. This one is separating the ventricles, isn't it? I have a right ventricle, I have a left ventricle, and I have a septum. This is called by the name of interventricular septum. Right, now we have this particular portion over here. Now this is called by the name of interatrial septum. Whatever is separating the 2 atrium, that particular big wall is called by the name of interatrial septum. It cannot be very easily appreciated here because this section is taken in such a way that they are including all these kind of blood vessels over here. So if I take a better section, I will be able to see a wall like this in between the atrium also. Just a thin wall between the 2 atrium will be seen. But this is not a appropriate picture to see the interatrial septum, but such an entity also exists. So the 2 atria are actually separated. So if I just make a box representation like this, then I have this is my interventricular septum, this is my interatrial septum. So such a thing is also there, interatrial septum. So this image is designed in such a way that this interatrial septum cannot be very clearly understood when you look at it. Is not clearly understandable when you look into this particular image, but such a thing also exists. Just like this particular wall between the ventricles, this interatrial septum is also there, right? Okay, now what else is there that we are supposed to know? Now we are supposed to know the valve between the atria and the atria and ventricle. So I have this kind of a valve over here, isn't it? So I can see that I have a valve like structure over here. Here also I have a valve, and this valve connects the right atrium to the right ventricle, and this connects the left atrium to the left ventricle. So this particular valve, the function of valve anywhere in the body is for the unidirectional flow of the blood. It will lead to, the blood can flow in one direction only. The reverse direction flow of blood is prevented by the valve. So the valve which is present over here, which is marked like this. So this valve is actually called by the name of tricuspid valve. So I will write it here, tricuspid valve. There are 3 cusps over here, isn't it? That is why you see 3 important leaflets. 3 leaflets you will see for that particular valve, and these 3 leaflets, when they come together, it will close the valve. Why do you require these leaflets here? Why do you require a valve over here? It will actually allow the flow of blood from right atrium to right ventricle, but the backward flow of blood is prevented by the valve. Again, I can see that there is another valve over here which will allow the flow of blood from left atrium to left ventricle, but the back flow of blood from left ventricle to left atrium, this backward flow is prevented by this valve, and this valve is called by the name of bicuspid valve. If you see the valve, you will see two leaflets. That is why you say it as bicuspid valve, but in this case it is tricuspid valve. There are three leaflets. So here nature has produced only two leaflets. So when these two leaflets come close to each other, it will lead to the closure of the valve. So this is an important point. Now this is not the only site for valve, isn't it? There are certain other valves also. Now see this more carefully now. See, this is my right ventricle, this is my left ventricle. Now the right ventricle is connected to this particular structure. What is this? And here if I go through this particular blood vessel, this blue blood vessel, if I go through this, it eventually divides into two. It goes here and the other one goes below this and it goes all the way till here. What is that? What is this particular blood vessel? This is called by the name of the pulmonary artery. Right? So the right ventricle is connected to the pulmonary artery in this way. So when the right ventricle contracts, the blood is pushed to this particular pulmonary artery, but it will not go to right atrium. When the right ventricle contracts, all the blood will go in this way. It will not go to right atrium because this valve is closed. Right? So this is the basic feature of the valve. It prevents the back flow of blood. So right ventricle, when it contracts, the blood goes into the pulmonary artery. So this is the pulmonary basic main trunk of the pulmonary artery, divides into two. This goes to that lung, the other one goes to the other lung. So there are two lungs, each of these will go to the other two lungs, isn't it? So you have one particular pulmonary artery for each lung. That is what is meant by this particular image. Right? Now let us see what is there with left ventricle. Now in case of left ventricle, I can see that this is the bicuspid valve. Okay. Now when the left ventricle contracts, this bicuspid valve will be closed. So it will prevent the backflow of the blood in the left ventricle to the atrium. So this kind of a flow is blocked. It is blocked by the bicuspid valve. Now that is what we are aware of. Now you can see when it contracts, the blood can go through this particular way. It goes all the way till this and it makes an arch over here and comes down. Okay, and it comes down all the way like this. So it is going through this particular way. It goes all the way here. It goes all the way here. I hope you can trace everything that I am making. And it goes behind your pulmonary artery, pulmonary trunk. It goes behind this and it goes through this. This blood vessel is in this way. And it goes and makes an arch over here. And it comes down. It comes down behind the heart and then it goes all the way till your abdomen. So this is how the blood vessel is going. Now what is this blood vessel? This is the very important main blood vessel of the main artery of the human body called by the name of aorta. So the left ventricle gives its blood into the aorta. It will circulate blood to each and every cell of your body. This is the first artery to come out of the heart and it will give all of multiple branches to supply the entire human body, including the heart. It will supply even the heart also. So this is the basic idea that we are supposed to have. So the point that I wanted to convey here is that in case of the aorta as well as the pulmonary artery, this is the aorta and this is the pulmonary artery. Can you see these structures over here? This is the valve which is present. These are the two valves that are present at the beginning of pulmonary artery and aorta. So the valves that are present at the beginning of pulmonary artery and aorta are called by the name of semilunar valves. Maybe because of the fact that it looks like a half moon. That is why they call it as a half lunar, means moon, isn't it? So semilunar valve looks like a half moon. So a crescent shaped moon or something like that. So this is the semilunar valve. Again, this is also semilunar valve. So how will you say? How will you make it more specific? You will say this is the aortic semilunar valve. This is the aortic semilunar valve. meaning it is present at the beginning of the aorta. It is present at the beginning of the aorta, this one. And this is the pulmonary semilunar valve. It is present at the beginning of the pulmonary artery. I hope you are thorough, or I can say I hope you are understanding what is actually happening here, right? So these are the structures which are present over there. So right ventricle to right atrium, this particular valve is the tricuspid valve. This is the bicuspid valve. Now bicuspid valve is also called by the name of mitral valve. This is the other name for bicuspid valve. Okay, so I hope you can mark all these things in the textbook. You can see the image in the textbook. So because of you know some kind of a copyright issue that is probable when I use an image from the NCERT directly, so I thought of making this kind of an image which is more or less similar to the image that is given inside the NCERT, right? So this is the other name for bicuspid valve, that is mitral valve, right? Now you have aortic and pulmonary semilunar valves which are present at the beginning of the aorta and pulmonary artery. So when the right ventricle contracts, what will happen? When the right ventricle contracts, the tricuspid valve will be closed, preventing the blood from going to the right atrium. So it will prevent the blood from going to the right atrium, while this semilunar valves will open, so that the blood in the right ventricle, it cannot go to the right atrium because the tricuspid valve is closed. It can go into the pulmonary trunk, the pulmonary artery. Similarly, when the left ventricle is contracting, the bicuspid valve will be closed. It will be closed. So the blood cannot go to the left atrium. So instead the blood can go into the aorta. So the aorta, it can go and supply the rest of the body. So let me clear all these things now. Let us understand few more things in this and we'll end this discussion of the structure of the heart. Then there are multiple other things also. So the things are getting a bit more serious with these kind of topics. Now see, this is my right atrium. This is my left atrium. Do you see this particular structure here? This is a vein that is coming and emptying into the right atrium. Again, there is another vein and coming and emptying here. This is the opening of this particular vein. This is opening of this particular vein, right? This is my superior vena cava. Superior vena cava. Okay, this is coming from below. This is called as the inferior vena cava. All the veins above and all the veins till the level of the neck. All the veins in the brain, the face, everywhere. All these veins till my level of the neck will join to form the superior vena cava, including the upper limb also. So these areas, the upper part of your body, all the veins are joining to form the superior vena cava, and this will eventually drain into the right atrium. Now whatever is my body below my upper limb, below my hand, below my arms, will be draining into the inferior vena cava, and that will directly drain into the right atrium. This is the point, right? So these are the two important blood vessels that you can see here. What else can I see now? So this is my left atrium. I can see there are 4 blood vessels here which are coming from behind. See these purple colored structures, pink colored, dark pink colored structures. These are the 4 important veins that are coming into the heart. These are the pulmonary veins. 4 pulmonary veins are there. So there are 4 pulmonary veins. So point I would like you to remember is that you saw 2 pulmonary artery. There is a main pulmonary artery. It divides into 2. One will go to the left lung. The other one will go to the right lung. This will go to the right lung. This will go to the left lung. Okay. But when it comes as the pulmonary veins, when the oxygenated blood is coming from the lungs as pulmonary veins, there are 2 veins from each lung. So there was 1 artery for each lung. There are 2 veins from each lung. So the pulmonary veins, these two are coming from the left lung, and these 2 are coming from the right lung, right? Instead, but you had only 1 artery to each lung, but you are having 2 veins from each lung. So total 4 pulmonary veins will be there. 2 pulmonary arteries will only be there. Okay. So this is the basic structure of the heart. Now we will understand the conducting system of the heart. So we know that heart has the ability to pump blood, and that is by the rhythmic contraction and relaxation. So we are supposed to know what is actually responsible for the relaxation and contraction of the heart muscles. Now here the conducting system of the heart has a very important property, and it is this property that makes it, being able to generate impulses. So that is called by the name of auto excitability. Okay, so this is the property by which it can automatically generate on its own, it can generate the impulses on its own. So without any external stimuli, it will keep on generating impulses. Though there is no need of any kind of controlling for this. There is an extreme controlling for this by the brain to increase and decrease this, but it will keep on producing the impulses one after the other, so that the heart is keeping on contracting. So that is the very basic idea of the conducting system of the heart, that it is auto excitable. So this is a very important feature of the conducting system of the heart. Now the components of the conducting system of the heart are as follows. So the components of the conducting system of heart are two in number. One, you have nodal tissue, right? And the other one, you can call them as nodal fibers, right? Or these can be called as the bundles. Okay, so nodal tissue are certain specialized cardiac tissue. See, both nodal tissue and nodal fibers are specialized cardiac muscle. Those are cardiac muscle, but it has some speciality. So you will call them as specialized cardiac muscle. Let me write that also here. So these are specialized cardiac tissue, cardiac muscle. So we'll understand what these are and where are they located. So let us actually start with the first one, that is nodal tissue. What do I mean by that? There are certain node-like structure, a collection, a node-like structure at some part of the heart. The first node-like structure lies over here, and the second node-like structure lies over here. So these are the two most important nodal tissue of the heart. Nodal tissue, these are node, certain localizations, certain areas, some bit of tissue over there is forming a node-like structure. So that is why you will call them as the nodal tissue. Okay, so what are these? These are specialized cardiac tissue. The heart is made up of cardiac muscle. Now these are certain specialized part. They have some speciality. They are specialized in such a way. So they are going to produce the impulses, right? So this one which you see over here, that is present in the upper right corner. Tell me, this is my right side and this is the left side, isn't it? And this is at the right side it is present. So it is at the upper right corner of the right atrium. This is my right atrium, upper right corner of the right atrium, just below the opening of the superior vena cava. This is the superior vena cava, it opens here. This is the opening of superior vena cava. Just below that you will see the node over here, and this node you can call it as the sinoatrial node, SA node, right? So the nodal tissue are the SA node, and the second one is at the lower left corner. So this is the left side of the right atrium, left side of the right atrium. At the lower left corner of the right atrium, I have another tissue. This is called by the name of AV node. Okay, so this is my AV node, right? So SA node, and the second one is the AV node. So SA node is the sinoatrial node, and this is the atrioventricular node. Just know the full forms, okay? So SA node is sinoatrial node, and the AV node is atrioventricular node. So it is present in between the atria and ventricle. It is present between right atrium and right ventricle. So you can say that, isn't it? So that is why it is called by the name of atrioventricular node. These are nodal tissue. Now what are their functions? They will keep on producing impulses. They will keep on producing impulses, and this impulse will spread. So these are the two nodal tissue present inside the heart. That's all. Okay. Now whatever is connecting them, whatever are the other things which are connecting them and spreading the impulses across the other things, these are called by the name of nodal fibers. These are certain channels. You can talk about them. You can consider them as wires which will take the impulses and spread them throughout the heart. So this is what is going to produce the impulse. It has to be spread across the heart for it to function, and that is the function of nodal fibers. Let us understand the nodal fibers. First of all, SA node is connected to the AV node by three fibers here. Three channels are present in this way. Okay, and from here this impulse can be taken to the other left atrium also. This is my left atrium, so there also the impulse can be taken. Now from here comes the next nodal fiber, and this is the fiber that is going across the heart tissue to reach the interventricular septum. So this is what is called by the name of, right, so this kind of a fiber is called by the name of the bundle of His. Okay, and it is written in the textbook as AV bundle, atrioventricular bundle. The correct form is bundle of His. So this is called by the name of bundle of His. So from the AV node, the bundle of His arises, and that goes all the way, and it arises at the tip of the interventricular septum. Then it reaches slightly, it goes over here, and then it divides into the two bundles here, one on the right side and one on the left side. So this bundle of His will divide into this is my left bundle, right, and this is my right bundle. So there it is dividing into two. So the bundle of His divides into two, that is right bundle and left bundle, and this goes all the way down, and then it spreads into the ventricular musculature like this. It spreads into the ventricle, the wall of the ventricle in this way. It gives off several branches. Okay, so this is called by the ending part of the bundles, right and left bundle, this is called by the name of the Purkinje fibers. These are called by the name of Purkinje fibers. These will spread into the ventricle, giving branches to the ventricle. All these things are together called by the name of Purkinje fibers. So this is how the whole nodal fibers are arranged inside the heart. This is the conducting system of the heart. Okay, so this is the SA node. Once again, I'm just recapitulating here. This is the SA node, then this is an AV node. These are the two nodal tissue, AV node and SA node. Now they are connected by the nodal fibers. So the SA node is connected to the AV node by three important fiber tracts. There are three pathways, and from the AV node, the bundle of His arises. In the textbook, it is called as AV bundle, right? So this is called by the name of an atrioventricular bundle or AV bundle. So from the AV node, they say AV bundle is coming. Okay, do not get confused. In the textbook, they are calling it as AV bundle. So from the AV node, the AV bundle is coming, and this will, or the correct form or the better way to remember it as is, it will be bundle of His. That is the correct technical name for this, bundle of His, or the His bundle. This will come and divide into the right bundle and the left bundle, and this will eventually reach the tip of the ventricle here, and then it will spread across the walls of the ventricle as the Purkinje fibers. This is how the whole conducting system of the heart is arranged. Okay, now if I talk about impulse production, okay, impulse can be produced by SA node as well as AV node. Okay, even by the ventricles the impulse can be produced, but the maximum frequency of impulse production, the number of impulses produced per second, I can call it as frequency of impulse production. Okay, this is actually by maximum frequency of impulse production. Maximum frequency is by the SA node, and the SA node produces frequencies at the rate of 70 to 75 per minute. So in 1 minute it will be producing 70 to 75 impulses. This is a very important MCQ question. They can ask you this in the practice test. Okay, what is the frequency of impulse production by the SA node? So they can ask you this question, so you should not have any doubt in this. Okay, so the SA node will produce 70 to 75 times per minute impulses. Okay, so that is why SA node will dominate over the others, because it is so quickly it is producing. Okay, it will not give time for the others to produce impulse. It is so quick in producing, keep on producing impulses 70 to 75 times per minute. This is the maximum frequency. So what will it do? It will keep on generating impulses, and this impulse will keep on traveling. All the other parts of the nodal system, all the other part of the conducting system cannot produce. It will be suppressed by the SA node, because SA node itself is producing impulse at a very high rate. It will not give time for the other parts of the bundle system. Everything else can have the power to produce its own impulses. But SA node is so quick in producing it will keep on producing it at the rate of 70 to 75 times per minute. So the others will not get time to produce impulse. By the time they start producing an impulse, the SA nodal impulse will have passed through them. So they will not produce any impulse. That is why SA node is called by the name of the natural pacemaker of the heart. Okay, while teaching I always find this word to be most important. This is the natural pacemaker of the heart. Why is it the natural pacemaker of heart? Not because it just has the ability to produce impulse. Everything has the ability to produce impulse. SA node, AV node, even these fibers have the ability to produce impulse. Okay, so SA node has maximum frequency of production. So all these things will not get time to produce impulse. By then the SA node will have produced the impulse. That is why it is quicker in the race. That is why it is called by the name of natural pacemaker. So whatever happens in the heart is actually controlled by the SA node, because SA node will keep on producing impulses, and that is how the heart will contract. Right? Okay, so this is all that we are supposed to know in this particular lecture, and the frequency of SA nodal impulse formation is very much important now. Okay, right. So guys, if you like this, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Click the bell icon to receive notification whenever I upload a new video on YouTube. Thank you.